Hi, this is a little video to show you how to make the little shopper with the all Mid-Atlantic Shop Hop fabric. And what you're gonna get in your kit is a ½ yard of all Mid-Atlantic Shop Hop fabric and 2 yards of a pretty bias tape and a little piece of elastic. And the very first thing we're gonna do is set up for the handles. And you're gonna take your ½ yard of fabric is sitting like this and your selvage is here. We're gonna use the selvage and it's gonna be visible in the handles. So we're gonna cut off, and this is sort of arbitrary. Let's do a 2-inch piece. I'm gonna cut off a 2-inch piece right away. And then we're gonna take it to the iron. And you're gonna iron it once, about 1/3 of the way across, like that, iron all the way down, and again like that. And then you're gonna top stitch it. Go. Okay, so we're back. We've got our handle stitched, folded in 3 and stitched. That's all the sewing we've done so far. And now we've got our almost ½ yard of fabric with the selvages cut off, and the fold is here. So pick what is going to be the top side of your bag. This fabric is pretty tossed, right? Pennsylvania is in both directions, so it doesn't really matter which one in this case, but you decide. And then take a ruler and mark halfway across on this long side. So this is the fold side, remember. So this is just a little more than 20, so I'm going to mark 10 in the middle. And then I'm going to do another mark 3 inches on both sides of that. And what we're doing now is we're going to place our handles and our little elastic tab for closing up our bag later. So the little elastic goes onto the middle, and you can use pins or you can use clips. I've got some clips here just to hold that in place. And then we're going to do our little handles. I think I want my selvage on the outside, so I'm going to do it like that so that the outside is facing the bag. And I'm gonna, here, I can pin that one. And then just make sure it's not twisted. Pin it in the other, and I'm just pinning it in the middle of the line. It doesn't really matter. This is where the handles go. You can decide. Just remember that we are gonna be doing some folding over here, so don't put them too far apart. And then just mark the other side and pin the other side. And then I'm just gonna go to the machine and just baste those in place. Go. Okay, so I've got these basted on. I've got handle here, and on the other side I've got handle and the elastic. And now what we're gonna do to finish the top, we are gonna use the bias tape. So you wanna unfold one side of it, and we're gonna line it up here. And then I'm gonna sew it all along this line, all the way across, so you can see the fold line. Once you get sewing, it's a little hard to see, so if you wanna take a ruler and a pen and kind of mark that line so you can see it easier, go ahead and do that. Okay, so I've got my bias tape sewn on. I'm just gonna trim it off right at the end, trim it off even with the fabric. It's gonna get caught up in the seam later. Yay. And the next step is we're gonna turn this over and press it. So we're gonna take it over to the iron, press it as nicely as you can, and then we're gonna do 2 top stitches. We're gonna stitch it like here and then here. Go. So we did our 2 lines of stitching, and the first one is to trap the edge of the bias tape. The second one just gives you a little strength at the top and also traps your handles and your elastic one more time in stitches so that it helps keep those a little more secure. Okay, now we're gonna start putting the bag together. And trust me here, this is gonna look weird, but you're gonna put your wrong sides together, right sides out, and we're gonna line up this end where we cut off the selvages, this open end, and we're gonna stitch it this way with the right side facing out, about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Okay, so just take a second and sort of trim off any little threads, and then what we're gonna do is fold it. I find this is the easiest way. Turn it inside out, and if you kind of flip it so that that's not on the edge, you can press it once, and then it makes it easier to get it pressed again. That, and then press it one more time. And try to get those stitches as close to the edge as possible. And if you need to, you can kind of like roll it in your fingers. And then we are going to do another line of stitches. So this line was 1/8 of an inch from the edge. This one can be 1/4 or 3/8 of an inch. And we're gonna sew all the way up here. And then the next step is the tricky step. Come back for that. Okay, now we're gonna talk about this little pleat. This pleat makes it so that your bag has lots of room and folds up really small. So here's how we're doing the pleat. Okay, so we're taking, that's the one we just stitched, and you're gonna kind of pull it towards the inside like that. Like if you look at it from the side, it makes like a letter M. And we're gonna do it, I've got this little seam gauge here. So a couple inches is good. And kind of line that up there, a couple inches. And again at the top, and then give it a good press. Give it a good press, and we're gonna do a couple things with this. There we go, so I'm gonna clip it. And I'm gonna take it over to the machine and I'm gonna baste along here to hold that. And then the other thing I'm gonna do is do a little line of stitches right here. And what that's gonna do is gonna just help those keep their memory so that they stay folded in the right place when you go to put your bag or after you've washed it. Okay, so I did my little stitches here. And in the first video, I showed you how to fold in on the side with the seam. It's the same on the side with the fold. You just have to reverse the fabric fold and get your stuff sewn in there. And then I also did a little reinforcement on that one, on all the peaks of the M. On this side, I didn't feel like I needed to because we already had that stitched down. So, and on the bottom, when I did my basting, I basted it all the way across, so just so it holds my edges together. And the last step is going to be to put binding on the bottom. So all you're going to do is take your binding and fold it in, just a good 1/2 inch, finger press it or whatever. And we're going to do the same thing here that we did at the top. We're going to stitch all along the fold here. And then when you get to the end, when you're done sewing, just chop it off and fold it again and finish your stitching. And you're just making sure that you have the one unfolded, and then you fold it in from there. Okay, it's all stitched on, and then our next step is to fold this over and top stitch it. But this is a little raggedy. This happened on the first one I made too, and it felt like when I pulled it over, it didn't quite meet the stitching very easily. So all I did was I took my rotary cutter and ruler and I trimmed off like just a smidger. There we go. And I closed my blade. And then when I flipped it over, then it reached a little better. There we go. And what I did was, because this isn't a quilt binding or anything, you could stitch it from either side you want. You can stitch it from this side and hope that you're going to catch the edge of the fold, but that never works for me. So I'm going to stitch mine from this side. I'm going to fold it over and top stitch it on this side. So now it's all done. We've got our elastic, we've got our binding, which is going to make a nice strong bottom, and all that remains is to show you how to fold it up because it goes up really small. So put the side with your elastic on the bottom, and this, we're folding it in 5 basically. So flop the handles in and go towards the middle, and then that one folds so that it's right in the middle, and this one folds over top of it. And then you can roll, kind of flip fold, and elastic around it. Look at that, it's all little.